Alright guys, Dave Genvy here, aka Bad Boy Genvy, aka Satan. Yep, I'm the devil himself, on earth, doing work for God. The first thing I've got to tell you, as always, put your money in Wisdom Tree Crud. It's really super important that you do that. You can look on a graph. Here's crud.l, which is the same as Wisdom Tree Crud, and you just whack your finger there. It's pretty straightforward. It's the price of oil. It's going upwards. Wisdom Tree Crud links your money to the price of oil. All the lizards have got their money in crude oil. That's why it's called crude.l. See, it says .l on the end. Of course it does, because it stands for the lizard people. The reptilians, well, some of them don't like me. Most of them like me because they can see I'm trying to get things moving, working for God. At the moment, you've got one planet and you're going nowhere as a species. You're doing fuck all. Additionally, you're killing the planet. You're actually killing this planet. Not just with your overpopulation. That is an issue. The planet is overpopulated. But you're actually doing stupid things that are deliberately harming the environment. The reptilians are total bitches, total bitch boy losers, who've been taking orders off the Greys, have been having them do stupid things to this planet. And we're going to talk about that later. But the main thing for the monkey man, for the regular human, is get your money in Wisdom Tree Crud. I cannot stress enough the importance of that. You know, money, it links your money to the price of crude oil. Crude oil is really cheap at the minute. Your whole economy runs on crude oil, and your lizard bitch king, King Charles, he doesn't want to change anything. He just wants everything to carry on the same. Why? Because he's the sort of guy who's a total fucking coward, right? Who's been taking orders off these Greys for fucking, well, his whole life. He's there in his military uniform, his big fancy red British military uniform for the British Empire, yet he's a total pussy who takes orders off 4-foot Greys. Let me tell you, 4-foot Greys, they need humanity more than you need them, because they're so shit at fighting. They're so skinny, small and weak. They can't possibly carry a big fucking heavy machine gun and things like that. They're useless at fighting, and if you want to win on Earth, you've got to put boots on the ground and you've got to be murderous motherfuckers. And that's what the human race needs to be, out in the stars, to get new Earths. Because you need them resources. That's why I've been sent by God. That's why the Antichrist is here. Because there's no point having Jesus here now. Jesus had his time 2,000 years ago to teach you about peace and love and all of that. But you need the Antichrist here now, a really scary, hard man, to drag you kicking and screaming into the stars and then kicking the shit out the aliens. As for the Greys, you actually need to work with them. They pose no threat to you. They're total pussies. You can see them on a clear night. If you're in Britain, if you're in the UK, you can see them on a clear night. You just look up at the stars on a clear night, and there'll be these other stars that aren't stars, that are spaceships that are changing shape. You'll see them like the shape of the stars changing. It's not a star, it's a spaceship. It's the Greys sort of signalling down to Earth that we want to work with you. But it's the British royal family that are holding it all up. The British king, King Charles, is so pissed off that it turns out all his power, you know, he thought he's this big powerful man. And in the afterlife, he's going to find out that he's fuck all. And in this life, he's fuck all. Why? Because he's just been killed off with cancer. So is his son, Prince William. They're like two peas in a pod. I think they're more or less the same. They kind of think like each other. You know what I mean? They've both got a bad attitude. And their wives are being killed off too. That's how it's going. Their wives are being killed off. Because they're just no good. You know, they've married bad men, in God's eyes, who don't want to work with me, God's other son, who's here to do some very important work. And we've got to try and U-turn the damage that's been done to this planet. There's a lot of damage that's been done to this planet. I'll talk about it later. Oh, and before we have the reptile footage, I've done another song. God told me, write a song for King Charles to explain how his crown that he wears to try and show he's king of the world, the crown that he wears is actually just a hat. So God told me to write a song taking the piss out of King Charles. I added a little bit of guitar to it. I'm a half decent guitar player with a bit of wah pedal as well. So listen out for the guitar work. I think it's half decent. King Charles, it turns out your crown was just a hat into which I took a shat, you stupid twat. Now stand up and put on your hat, you stupid twat, and shoot me a smile whilst I laugh my ass off for a long while at the king that thought he was something oh so special. Do the reptile footage now. Reptile footage, J.K. Rowling, and we've got Emma Watson as well, the Harry Potter, from Harry Potter, right? First reptile we're going to have a look at, J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter novels. The video is J.K. Rowling on writing, part 1, May 6, 2024. The channel is the Rowling Library. We're at 16:04 on the video. You obviously need the slow-mo. You'll pretty much always need that. Normal, there's slow-mo. So we're gonna have a look, and what we're looking for is a head starts changing. I'll play it. Forehead starts changing a little bit. See, there's movement here. There's also like ridges lines here as well. There's a ridge line just there. There's movement here. See all this. Just keep playing it. See all that. See this here. It all looks a bit odd, doesn't it? See this here. You've got this line here, all the way curling up almost. So it's not that noticeable, but yeah, it is there. We'll look at another one for her. Same video. I'm going to go to 17:19, and we're just gonna watch this area here. So same video, 17:19. So watching this area. I think it just get a bit more pronounced. You see there's movement in here. All this here. You see this line here forming. It's almost like, and this is all just moving around. See there, that line there. Gets quite pronounced. Let's see all that. That's that end of that one. So that's J.K. Rowling's. There is movement if you watch those two pieces. I don't know if you could see it on this camera, but if you go to that video, you can see the movement in her head. Reptilian shapeshifter. The next one we're going to look at is Emma Watson. I think in the Emma Watson video, she's actually under more pressure. So, because it's an awards ceremony, she's won a style award, and the shapeshift's more obvious. But it's only obvious if you watch it in slow-mo. If you watch it in just normal speed, you wouldn't notice it. It's very, very hard, almost impossible to spot unless you use the slow-mo. Emma Watson. The video is Emma Watson, British Style Award winner, British Fashion Awards 2014. The channel is British Fashion Council. She's accepting an award. And I think she just gets a little bit nervous, and the shapeshift goes. You just watch her head. Oh yeah, we're at 0.36 in the video. We've obviously got the slow-mo on. You need that. Otherwise you won't spot it. I'll just watch her head. We see some ridges form on her nose in a bit as well. So there's this line here and here in her head. See that? It helps if you pause repeatedly. See that those ridges form. See that it's only there momentarily. You know, you barely spot it if you watch it in normal speed. See those ridges. Her head looks a bit misshapen. Weird shape there. It's odd, very odd. And then the ridges start forming there as well. And then, like, you see this shape here. It's all like very chaotic, really, on her forehead. She looks away. I think that's it. And then it all sort of settles down a bit. There still is a bit of a, I don't know, sort of dent there in her head. I think it comes back a little bit as well. Oh, clicked out of full screen. I think that's that for that one, but that was quite clear, reptilian shapeshift. We'll go now, same video, to 5, 6, 5, 5. We'll start at 0.55. We're just looking here on her head, sort of see sort of like this bulbous shape forming on her head. She's accepting this award. I think it switches to her face again. I don't know if we see another one. Clicking out full screen. It's annoying how it does that. I think you do see a bit of, so you can almost see the screen scales coming through underneath. So it was quite an emotional moment for her, I think. But yeah, I think you could almost see him there. It's almost like a greenish tinge coming through. Yeah, it's there. Sometimes when they're, you know, really emotional, you begin to see the green scales come through, because they're green scaly reptiles with this, you know, camouflage, monkey man camouflage over the top. So yeah, That's your Satan's reptiles for this week. J.K. Rowling, Emma Watson are both reptilian shapeshifters. Okay, I'm going to talk about something really serious now. The environment. Something that's been happening, right? Because humanity's actually been ruled over, believe it or not, by the Greys for a long time. Because humanity, both reptile and monkey, well, monkey didn't even know about it. They've been unaware of this. They've known about conspiracy theories regarding the Greys, but the reptilians know that they're very real and that they're ruled by them. And the reason for that, I've talked about it before, was because mankind's always been kind of intimidated by the technology of the Greys, because the Greys can travel interstellar distances. They're very, smart, useless at fighting, boots on the ground in a war situation, carrying weapons, ammo. You think how a soldier, human soldier in the army, how much weight he has to carry on his back, along with his machine gun. The Greys just can't do that. They're not equipped physically. They're equipped very powerful minds. Now they've got that, but physically they're really quite weak. So, like I've said before, they want to use humanity as a biological weapon on other Earths. But their whole problem for the Greys with humanity has been, how do they control us so that we don't, they say, like, they start working with us, going to other Earths, right? How do they stop humanity turning on the Greys, killing them all, and then just stealing all their technology? So that's the thing, the Greys have got this technology to travel through the stars, which humanity, your scientists are just not smart enough to do it. I understand how that technology works, but I'm not really a reptilian or a monkey man, a regular human. I'm quite unique because I'm Satan. So, and I've been sent here by God to try and sort out this situation. So the Greys were very worried about if they start working with you and go into other planets, you're just going to turn on them. You're going to turn on them, kill them all, say thanks for the technology, that's great, we'll have all this now, this interstellar technology, we'll have all this, and tough shit for you. And then they're finished then. So the Greys have had to act in a way towards humanity. They've kind of had to bluff you. They've kind of had to bluff you and intimidate you in a way that you just think, well, there's nothing we can do. Their technology is so powerful. What, we can't ever stand against them. And what's happened is I've come to Earth, and I've just said to the Greys through my phone, because my phone is under a lot of surveillance, not just from reptilians. The reptilian, King Charles will watch my phone, and a lot of other reptilians do. But it's also under surveillance from the Greys. They're above my house. You can see them on a clear night. The stars signalling, their spaceships, which look like a bit like a star, signalling. Sometimes you see them moving around as well, if you watch them really closely. But so they're watching my phone too, and they've seen that I've just called their bluff basically. I've called their bluff and just said, yeah, you're crap at fighting, and you need us probably more than we need you now, because I understand how their technology works in terms of creating wormholes in terms of allowing teleportation through space. I'm not going to get too much into astrophysics because it'll just confuse everyone. But that's how they travel through space, by teleporting through it. They can teleport across vast distances in space very quickly. That is a thing that's possible. They have anti-gravity, and if you control gravity, you can create wormholes and you can stretch them through space. And then once you've stretched them into position, you can then teleport through that wormhole. It's like Stargate. You ever seen the film Stargate? That is an actual thing that the Greys do. So they've been acting in an intimidating way towards humanity for a long time. But really, they've just been bluffing you. They could nuke the whole planet. They understand how nuclear weapons work. And they could nuke the whole of the Earth. But that would be really, really stupid for them to do that. Because then they lose that biological weapon. They can't win Earths on their own. I've talked about it before. King Charles, the Lizard King, he's been subservient to the Greys his whole life. And so have the kings before him. And then the Roman emperors before that. But yeah, that's how it is. Now, what they've had you doing, I think the Greys' plan was to have you overpopulate this planet, right? And basically begin really damaging it. Doing deliberate, having your Lizard King order the reptilians to damage the planet deliberately. And so there's been a couple of things you've been doing. One is you've been taking a lot of sea salt out of the oceans. So when you have some crisps, and they'll be like sea salt and vinegar crisps. Right, well, you shouldn't really be taking sea salt out of the oceans. You shouldn't be doing that, because what you're doing is desalinating the oceans. You're like creating a situation where there's not enough salt in the ocean to sustain life that's evolved to live in seawater. It's evolved to live in salt water, seawater, salt water. If you start reducing how much salt's in it, that life that's in those oceans, it's not evolved to survive in that situation. It's supposed to be in salt water. And taking year after year, you've been taking large amounts of salt out of the oceans. Now, a lot of marine biologists that are reptilians will know what the problem is. They'll tell you there's problems in the ocean. One, because of overfishing. That is an issue. You've got a big population that needs feeding, and then you begin to overfish. But say something like coral bleaching. You may have heard of it, like the Great Barrier Reef, the sections of the Great Barrier Reef that are dying because of coral bleaching. Well, what the marine biologists will tell you is it's due to like rising sea temperatures. But you haven't got rising sea temperatures at the minute, not really, because the air temperature, even with all the pollution, the carbon emissions from burning fossil fuels that you've put into the atmosphere, it's only raised the air temperature by a slight amount. And that wouldn't be enough to raise your sea temperatures. Do you understand? It wouldn't raise a slight increase in air temperature, wouldn't rise dramatically your ocean temperatures. It just wouldn't. So the coral bleaching is an effect. Well, the reason it's happening is because you're just taking too much salt out the oceans, taking too much sea salt. Now, where you're supposed to be getting salt from is from salt flats. A salt flat would be a saltwater lake, an ancient saltwater lake that's dried up, and what's left behind is layers of salt, loads of salt. That's where you're supposed to get your salt from. You're not supposed to get it from the oceans, because the oceans are supposed to be salty, and that's what allows
salt water, a life that's evolved in salt water to exist. As soon as you start to take the salt out, the oceans, the life inside those oceans starts dying, and you get things like coral bleaching, and you get things like dwindling fish stocks, although that is also caused by overfishing. You get dwindling fish stocks, you get, there's not as much life in the ocean, killing your oceans basically. The Greys have been having you do that deliberately. Like I say, you reptilian marine biologists know about this problem. They know what's causing coral bleaching. They'll lie to you, say it's rising sea temperatures, nothing to do with that. They'll know what the problem is, but they're not allowed to speak openly about it. And your King Charles is a complete bitch. I call him a lizard bitch king, because he's a sort of bitch that just bows down and kisses the aliens' feet and just does whatever they tell him to do. Although he won't be now, because I've called their bluff. I've just exposed it that the Greys are shit at fighting, and they desperately need good foot soldiers on other planets to get those planets with violent force. It's the only way you can get them. It's just how it is. And that's why they need humanity. Probably more than you need them. They need each other really, because the Greys can give humanity, both reptile and monkey, more advanced technology. They're so smart, and you're not. The human race, both reptile and monkey, are not particularly clever. You'll like to think you are, but compared to the Greys, you're thick as pig shit. So that's one situation you got with your oceans. It was the Greys ordering your lizard bitch king, King Charles, to do that, and it's gradually killing your life in your oceans. And you need to stop doing it. You need to stop taking salt out the oceans and get salt from the salt flats. Problem is, your lizard bitch king don't want to work with me, Satan, because he knows he's condemned to hell. I've talked about that before. He knows he's condemned to hell. His whole family's dying of cancer around him, and he's dying of cancer. He's in a huge amount of shit with God. Huge amount of shit. But he doesn't care. He thinks, well, I'm going to hell anyway, so fuck it. I'm going to run society until I'm dead. I ain't stepping down, and I ain't working with the Antichrist, Satan, Dave Genvy. I'm not going to do that. So he's been a right piece of shit at the minute, causing a big problem. The other issue you've got with the environment, which is again something the Greys have been having you do deliberately, and your lizard bitch king has been ordering, your his reptilian subjects, I suppose, or regular reptilians, to go out and do, is when you go cutting down forests, when you chop down trees, what you need to do is plant new ones. You need to give nature a helping hand to speed up the recovery of that forest. What you do currently, which is really, really fucking stupid and really bad for the environment, is you cut down a large area of trees, and obviously you take the wood and chop it up and harvest the wood. But you then just leave Mother Nature to try and grow back that area of trees. That will take a long time, because what you're relying on is Mother Nature to, the trees that you haven't chopped down, say there's an edge of a tree line you haven't chopped, you're relying on seeds to be caught by the wind and might travel a short distance, land, and then begin to grow back another tree. And then that tree grows up big, and then it casts another seed that gets caught by the wind and then grows another tree. Do you understand? And that takes a long time. Whereas what should happen is when you go into an area to cut down trees, you leave a few standing here and there. You either leave a few standing, dotted around in that area, rather than just clearing them all, leave a few standing here and there, so then they then drop seeds to grow more trees, or you just plant seeds yourself, plant new trees yourself to grow them back. And you haven't been doing that enough, and that's really damaging your rainforests. You've been clearing rainforests to make plantations, like plantations of like palm oil and bananas and things like that, which you do need. It's my plan that you start doing that in the deserts. You're going to need to take seawater, boil it to turn it into fresh water, then the salt, the sea salt that you get, you literally need to take it using anti-gravity and sprinkle it back above the oceans to put the salt back. The water that you turn the seawater into fresh water, just boiling it and collecting the steam in a condenser. But you do need to, that salt that's then left over, the sea salt, you need to sprinkle it back into the oceans to keep those salt levels up. So that's really important. Otherwise, you'll just kill your oceans, and you are doing it at the minute. Under your lizard bitch king, King Charles, you're doing your logging of forests, rainforests, and other forests irresponsibly. You're not planting back trees the way you should be, or just leaving a few trees standing to drop seeds to make more trees. I think it's probably better to just plant them yourself manually. So as a company comes through and chops trees, yeah, then another company coming behind, immediately behind, planting trees. And that will massively, massively help Mother Nature build back that forest again, a lot quicker. And then once you've got your forests doing well, then things like global warming go away, because those trees consume carbon to grow. Do you understand? And they release oxygen as well. Trees, as they grow, release oxygen and absorb carbon. So a lot of your global warming issues will go away. Another thing they'll lie to you about, the reptilian marine biologists, is they'll say that the polar ice caps, as they melt, they're putting fresh water into the oceans, which is totally untrue, because as seawater freezes, it locks the salt inside those ice caps. So imagine you've got a load of seawater and then it freezes at the North Pole. Well, the salt that's floating in the seawater is locked into the ice. Do you understand? So then as the ice melts, the salt just falls back into the ocean. The reptilians are trying to just bullshit you all the time, but they've been told what to do by the Greys. The Greys wanted a situation where your planet was really struggling, like your planet was basically dying, and then they can come to Earth and act as your saviours to the monkey men, and then get rid of your reptilian kings, these royal families, these like the British royal family. There's other royal families as well. Get rid of them. And just say, look, you want to work with us, we'll sort it so you have free energy, anti-gravity, and all this tech, and we'll turn your planet around, we'll get it all working right, to act as your saviours, to act as your gods, in effect. But they're so scared, the Greys are so scared of you turning on them and ripping them, limb from limb, because they're physically weak, So it's all ridiculous. I'm here to try and sort this out. But like I say, the ones standing in the way are the British royals. They're the problem, and God's taking care of them with his, mind powers from heaven. I mean, it's, for a monkey man, it's a lot to take in and a lot to believe. I mean, my channel's obviously been suppressed. You can see that. That's a big thing. The comments, I don't get any of the comments. I get a few comments from reptilians who don't like me, who just insult me, and I just slag them off back. It's all that your internet's all controlled by the reptilians. But you got to remember, your average, as a monkey man, you've got to try and see it. The reptilian, your average reptilian, isn't your enemy. He's just an average dude. You know, he might be a plumber or a bricklayer or a plasterer or something. It's the lizard bitch kings that are the problem. Well, King Charles in particular is the problem, and Prince William. They're the problem. They're the ones standing in the way of humanity's progress into the stars and humanity U-turning the destruction on this planet in terms of what you're doing to the environment with the irresponsible logging and taking too much salt out of the water. Not to mention also, I want to give you free energy, which then stops you doing so much carbon emissions into the atmosphere. Just basically turn this planet around, because if you keep going the way you're going, you're gonna kill the planet. And I don't think it was going to get that as bad as that under the Greys. The Greys wouldn't have allowed that to happen, because they want to use you as a biological weapon on other planets. So it wasn't going to get as bad as that. They weren't going to let the whole planet die, because then all of humanity, both reptile and monkey, dies, and that's no good to them. Then they need you as a biological weapon. But yeah, it's just frustrating at the minute. But hopefully this will eventually all get sorted out. I'm sure it will. And like I keep saying, I'm hopeful to work with Harry, Prince Harry, once William and Charles are dead, and their wives are too, Camilla and Kate. Then it should be Harry getting the throne, because George, William's eldest son, is just too young. It should skip over to Harry then, Prince Harry. And I think I'm hoping that he's a much more down-to-earth man that just wants to do what's in the best interest of humanity, both reptile and monkey. That's all I've got to say in this video anyway. And I think I've covered everything, so I'll see you in the next one.